Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back. Brandon again. Wanted to do a quick video on the Monster Slinger. One more for you. Based off my RM3 to RM6 conversion, a lot of people asked, what happened to the Slinger? Why didn't you bring it over? And I also mentioned in that video, I was initially planning on doing a center mounted Slinger tied into a Rhino in the back of the storage section. So a lot of people asked, what would that look like? And I can basically show you what that would be. Now for this, it's very simple. You don't need that many things in order to do it. You obviously need a Slinger. You need a 24-inch bottom cross member. You also need to make sure that your 6-post rack that you have, the very last section and the middle section have beams to connect that 24-inch cross member. And you just need some sort of weight resistance. And in this case, I'm going to show you both the banded version and a plate-loaded version. But other than that, you're pretty much good to go. And I'm sure you can swap some of these things out, but I'm just using what equipment I have available to me. So as far as installation goes, it's really simple. You get that 24-inch cross member and just put it up towards the middle of your two back sections of the rack. Now I say towards the middle because the way this works out, you can't do it flush right down the middle. So if you have extremely bad OCD, this is probably not the project for you. So it's either going to be a little to the left, a little bit to the right, but either way, it might fit in just right. So just go ahead and mount that there and just throw the Slinger on it. And literally, that's the basic part of this installation. Super simple. Now, in this case, if you had a Rhino, you would just tie the Rhino's cable on the bottom to the Slinger's cable on the top, and then you would load the Rhino and do whatever exercises you saw fit. Since that's not the case for me, or many people don't want to spend the money to do that, you still have other options if you want to make kind of a compact inside the rack contained cable system. Now, for me, the first instance I'm going to show you is the band resistance. That's the first one that I got for the Slinger itself. And for me, it's super simple to do because I already have the Rogue Monster bench prop installed in the back section of my storage. So that gives me another mounting point. So I'm just going to go ahead and take this Monster shackle and install it right there and just hook a band up to that and a band up to the Slinger. And you can do things like tricep press downs or even lat pull downs. Now for this, one of my main complaints with the Slinger, which I've mentioned in my other videos, which I'll link in the description box below, is I feel like there's too much slack. So I feel like the cable that comes with this Slinger isn't great for a 90-inch rack. And for some reason, Rogue decided to release one cable, no matter if you have a 90-inch, 100-inch, or 108-inch version. So it has to be able to fit all three of those. And in my case, it is too long. And there's kind of too much slack up top and not enough tension when doing things like tricep press down. So I've talked about having to bend my knees or get to a little bit lower in order to utilize it effectively. But as you can see here, you can still do it. Tricep press downs like that, no problem with this current setup. Now, I also mentioned you can do lat pull downs. You can. I just bring my bench in and just like that, you can do lat pull downs. But again, as you noted, the bar is hanging really low because there is too much slack in the actual cable. I took a look at adjusting mine and moved some screws around, but I wasn't able to actually move the ballpoint connector back up any. But I'm sure you're probably a lot smarter than me and can jerry rig something or even replace the cable if you want with your own length to match your rack and your setup and your LEM length. But you can do lat pull downs on this as well. Now for me, because I also have some other pieces of equipment like the Monster hip thrust pad, I can put that in there and actually use that to brace myself while doing lat pull downs. You can accomplish a lot of other ways to do this depending on what you have available to you, from spotter arms to flip down safeties with leg rollers to pin safeties. I'm sure you guys can get creative. There's lots of ways that you can raise yourself down. But for me, this hip thruster pad works fine. I have it here on my rack already and it works great. And again, allows me to do lat pull downs. Now, this is one way to do it. The band tension, I'm not a huge fan of because I find that you don't have the same tension at the top and bottoms of the movement. And plus it's hard to load a good amount of weight because number one, you're doubling up on bands, you're bending them over, you're stretching them. Again, it varies from the top to the bottom of the movement. So it's really hard to track and progress for weight. I find things are usually either too easy or too heavy. And there's no real nice in between. And it's really hard to figure out how much weight you're actually using on this. So that's why I usually defer these to things like accessories with some pull downs or just some tricep extensions of that matter. Now, obviously, you can go another route with this, and that's the plate-loaded option. I think this is the better option in terms of how it feels. It feels more natural, and obviously you know how much weight you're loading. For this, all I really need to do is, number one, take out that Monster bench prop because that's going to get out of the way of where I'm going to put the weights. You need a loading pin in this case, and I actually needed a chain to extend from where I connect to the Slinger to the loading pin. So if you have some chain laying around, or you might have to go buy some, the nice thing is if you buy a bigger piece, you can really adjust it no matter how much chain you may or may not need. So in this case, just go ahead and load it up with weights. And again, you can do all the same movements. I find this is much more smooth. The weight doesn't swing as much, but you may have to use something like bands or something else to kind of make sure the weights don't get too much English on them, because otherwise they're going to be crashing into your shins or the back of your walls potentially. But again, this is another option to do if you're going to use this slinger and don't have the drop-in rhino. Now again, I don't think this is a good solution for a lot of people. If you have all the pieces already, you're really short on space and you need something, this could be an option. But when you take a look at the price of the slinger, the price of things like the Monster Bench prop, if you want to go the route that I did, the actual hip thruster pad, or maybe getting like leg rollers and things like that, it ends up starting to be pretty expensive. So before shipping, you're talking like $600, $700. After shipping and tax, you're probably creeping up more towards like $1,000, in which case you could probably buy your own dedicated lat pull down, whether that be plate loaded or pay a little bit extra more for the selectorized version from Titan for like $1,300, which includes free shipping. So at the end of the day, you can use your slinger to do this. It's an easy install, but I still think the slinger has a lot of faults. It's not for me in particular, but if it's for you or you have some other great ideas about it, make sure you leave those in the comment section below. But as always, thanks for watching and stay big.